Oh my.
So, question I want to ask both of you is, what is a one shot?
So I'm the least experienced in the D&D world, so I'll go first. That way, your answer's not gonna make mine change and sound smarter. I'll just go ahead and lay it out there. To my knowledge, a one shot is a game that's been constructed to be finished entirely in one session. Which sounds a lot harder than a campaign. A one shot, having to get everyone through the entire storyline in one session, is what I think a one shot is.
Logan?
Yeah, I think it's one of those one shots, kind of like when you're all hanging out and you're like, hey, let's run this game, but you don't want to commit to like a long, term thing. So you're like, let's do it now. Let's do the game now, and you can play a module, or you can just kind of create characters in any setting, and just riff. If you got a good storyteller, you don't need anything but just pen and paper and just go, and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're both wrong.
I love
well, I'm not surprised.
Oh, cool.
No, that's exactly what it is.
According to you.
According to me. And,
Yeah.
and I like what you said, because it's that idea of, you finish it in one game. You can also call it a pickup game. I mean, it's not the same thing as a pickup game, but it's something you just pick up and you do it, and
It's a casual game.
you hit it and quit it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of times,
and often a one shot will turn into a long term game if it's really good.
exactly. Yeah. Well, every time. And what this goes along with the actual topic, which is how to conduct yourself during a one shot versus a long game. So, how do you conduct yourself in a one shot? Let's say you're going to go and hang out with some people that are going to play some D&D or game of some sort. And they're going to do a one shot. Maybe it's at a con, maybe it's at someone's house, maybe it's online. Whatever. How should you conduct yourself?
Well, I think, I've been in some games that have run, 2, 3, 4 years, and with those kind of games, you have nights where your character might be kind of taking a night off, where you're kind of like the secondary character, and somebody else kind of has their turn in the spotlight that night. In a one shot, you're all kind of there together, and you got to kind of let everybody get their. Everybody's there to have fun, so everybody kind of needs to participate and have fun. And, my philosophy in a one-shot, especially when I'm running it, in a one-shot, is don't say no. Like, whatever the players want to do, find a way to make it happen. And that's kind of why probably my favorite one-shot game is Dudes of Legend. You ever played that?
No, I've never played it.
Oh my god, it's awesome. All right, it's a White Wolf game. It was like a April Fool's joke, like they released via PDF. And I've run a couple one shots with the system. It's really designed only for one shots. I couldn't imagine doing a campaign out of it. But it's just a lot of fun because you literally can do just anything, and it's like stupid.
Right.
It's like stupid broken, but it's kind of like a joke that it's meant to be. But one shots are all about everybody having as much fun as possible.
So,
say no.
what would you say? Because you haven't done too many one shots.
No,
You've done a couple. Though.
I've done a couple, yeah. And I feel like it is a bit more being cognizant of the time you're taking. It's a little bit more like hot potato like with the turns, because you're wanting everyone to get their move in. Not as much monster hogging, if you will. Because you might only have five things to kill the whole game. You might not, depending on your DM. So it's kind of like you're wanting everyone to get their turn in, get their damage. So it is a bit more almost business, rather than just I'm going to do what I want. But it is also a really good improv exercise, because like you said, it's all saying yes. Like, how can I say yes as many times as possible? Especially with like the people you're playing with might not be in your normal gaming group, so you have no idea how the story is gonna go, depending upon what one person in the group is like. Well, I'm gonna do this, and the rest of you are like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do the thing, and then the DM's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do the thing, and so they can definitely be a lot more fun, but it does take everyone being on board and going, all right, we're doing this.
So I don't actually play very often. I'm usually storytelling because I think I take it more seriously than everyone. Anyway, when I think of a one shot,
Hey, we need storytellers.
thanks. When I think of a one shot, like I agree with you both. I think of it's almost like a pilot episode for a show. It's going to be a little bit longer. Like, this is a day, in my opinion, it's a day thing. It's like you guys and gals and peoples got together for a Saturday or something to hang out for that Saturday. Like, you get there at like 1 or 2 p.m. and you go until like 8 or 9. Maybe even later if you're going to be like hard. But the idea is like, you take like a break for dinner and whatever, and you have this campaign in a day. And it's very liberating because everyone knows the score is it's going to end, right? So they're going balls out. So like the zombie horde comes over the hill and the DM or the storyteller can actually throw a zombie horde at you. And if someone's like, take my wallet and my gun, and they like try to hold off a zombie horde and they go down, it's epic and it's awesome. And if everyone has a ton of fun with it, the pilot goes through and it becomes a campaign. So there's that idea of like, it's a liberating thing because you're actually playing full on. It's a lot of fun, and it could go somewhere, or you could be like, that was a great story, let's move on. That's what I think of one shots. I think they're really great setups for something else. The times that I think one shots are not are like a con where the whole time I'm like, so we're gonna play this once, and that means that nothing matters. Like if that happens, I'm not interested in playing.
Well, there have been a few one shots at the Renaissance Fair that I work at.
Yeah.
That both Bad and you have put on, and Tim actually, and they were pretty quick spoofs of honestly nothing really matters, but we all want to hang out, we want to be gaming, and we want to get a little taste of like D&D, Dreadlore, kind of role playing but sitting down because that's what we've done all day anyway.
It's little mini arcs.
Yeah.
So the time that Logan, you've played Dreadlore at least once. Have you played it twice?
I think I've played twice. Yeah.
Yeah. So the time that he played in version 1.5 is what it was, and he's got a lot of stuff going on. So he rolled in and was like, "Yeah, I want to throw down a character." In the middle of this massive campaign that ended up lasting about 2 years. And his character, to this day, the people in the game remember his character. And he played twice.
The character was badass.
The character was awesome.
All right.
It was awesome.
The character was awesome.
And it's not like he came in and stole the show. He rolled in, essentially did the equivalent of a one-person one-shot in a campaign, but didn't throw the campaign to hell. And that's really why the question that I'm talking about is, how do you conduct yourself during a one-shot? Maybe it's not just the game is one. Maybe you're only going to be there once.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's a good point. And there's a few players that I would trust to do that. Like if I'm running a long-term campaign, you got people like I trust them to come in and not just throw this thing for a loop on purpose. Just to kind of break it, because you do have to kind of like keep it going after they're gone.
Yep.
So you have to be careful with that for sure. So yeah, you kind of want to, and with that character, it was exactly like what you said. I didn't come in and try to steal the show. In fact, my guy had one cool thing he could do. He was really good at doing it.
And it was really cool.
He did it the moment that he needed to do it. He did it, and then he kind of let everybody else do the thing.
Yeah.
And he pieced out. It was great. Yeah, he rolled in and was like, oh, this is the kind of character I want to play. And I can't remember every facet of it by any stretch, but they were essentially racing after this character named Damien. And her brother. Anyway, doesn't matter. So,
nice.
There's a character named Damien, and in the lore of Dreadlore, the character Damien is sort of the proxy of the trickster god.
Well, that's about right. Yeah.
And the trickster's god name is Emerald. So they're after Damien, and they come across Logan's character, who's also hunting down that character, because Damien had been like, going from town to town, stealing shit up to no good, and so his character had he was looking for this magic axe, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And Damien had stole it from the king.
He'd stolen it, yeah.
Yeah. And so Logan was like, "Oh, I want to play kind of a magic character, but what kind of magic do you have in Dreadlore?" And I was like, "Well, it works very, very different than D&D." He's like, "Okay." He's looking through it. He's like, "What about words of power?"
Oh, okay.
Still the coolest thing I've ever done in a game. I'm pretty sure at that moment, I want to hear it from your perspective. I think that's probably one of the coolest things I've ever done in a game.
It was pretty fucking cool.
Word of power.
It was really cool. And the funny thing is that Ben and I, or Bad and I, had just started talking about words of power and what they did. So we didn't quite have all the rules. And so he was like, "Could I use it?" And I was like, "Yeah, we'll see how this goes. This could totally suck. I don't know." And it threw down, and it was really cool. I think the specific scene was they captured Damien, but he had hidden the axe somewhere, and they're in this massive field, right? And it's called the Worn Fields or the Warring Fields. So it's the Great Plains. So he had or in the desert, right?
Yeah.
He had cached this thing somewhere, and there's no way they're gonna find out where it is. And they're sitting there under a campfire, and you can tell what you actually did, but
Yeah, I mean, to the best of my recollection, and tell me if I'm wrong, but essentially we were looking for it or whatever, and this Damien guy is there, and I said, "Well, actually, I know where it's at, Damien. It's in your hand." And words of power, and the axe appeared in his hand, and he was like, "Oh crap!"
Yeah, yeah, that's it. He's just boom.
Oh, wow.
And he's just so cool, it's probability. He's like, no, it's in your hand. Like in Fight Club, the gun's not in your hand, it's in my hand.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was really neat.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we still talk about that character.
Yeah.
And he was there twice
Yeah, that was fun.
in 2 years, and we played a lot.
I mean, heck, Telvin's named after his character at
Indeed.
this point.
Indeed. One of my buddies, Telvin, came over today to play in our 5th ed game that we do every Sunday before GameTalk.
It's been a long day for us.
Yeah, jeez.
And yeah, he threw down a 5th level warlock and did great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was my first time meeting him, and he played well within the group. It was awesome having him as an addition.
we were talking about, I was like, so what did you think about the way that Telvin conducted himself at the table?
I like how you put it really well. He said yes to us a lot. He wasn't, well, no, we should do it this way, because it was clear he knew way more about the game than any of us at that table. He was very, very up to date on his D&D mechanics, and he could have made it miserable for us, but instead he was like, "This is what you all are doing? Awesome. This is what I'm going to do to help," and just went with it, and it was awesome.
It was very...
Yeah, that's...
Go on.
No, that's a good point. I think, at a one-shot, don't be a rules lawyer at a one-shot. Nobody wants that. When you're all having fun, unless it's something that, would break the game or,
Right.
Totally screw your character or something. Don't be that guy that's actually, according to the rules, you
Right.
have to, whatever. Don't do that. We're all there to have fun. It's
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be within reason, but if the DM is cool with it, then I'm like, then go with it.
Let it rock and roll. Yeah, the the specific scene was that he entered on was they'd walked across or down this hallway, and there were these explosive runes, which in every single game I throw them in as many times as possible. By the way, I love them, but
With a DC that high?
But apparently, I don't think they're in 5th ed. I could only find them in the 3.5 book, which, the 3.5 rules and 5th ed rules, they don't really mesh.
No, Team 3.5.
Yeah. Sure. So in 3.5...
I like 4th ed or 5th ed, no thanks.
In 3.5, explosive runes, to disable them, there's a DC, a difficulty class of yes, Jacob, explosive runes.
That happened today.
No, even in Dreadlord, there's explosive runes.
Of course there are.
I call them explosive runes. Anyway, one of the characters, Hulker, was like, can I read the runes? And I was like, yeah, sure. And he was like, yeah, what do they say? And I was like, boom, ka-cram, kaboom, ow.
Yeah. Yeah, he had fun with it.
It was funny. Anyway, in 3.5, the DC to disable explosive runes is 28.
Oh my god.
That's in the book. That's actually in the book. So, for those of you that don't know, although I'm pretty sure everyone does know, in D&D you roll a die 20. That means the highest you can roll on a die is 20. And then you add modifiers, so like bonuses that your character has. So if you're a rogue, then you might have like a plus 5. You know, you roll your die 20, oh, you rolled a 20, you got a 25. The point is, 28...
It's really hard to get.
That's high. Even in 3.5. And in 3.5 you have like crazy numbers. You know, people will be like, oh yeah, okay, 80. Because they had just tons and tons and tons of bonuses.
Dang.
Yeah.
In 5th edition, all the numbers are way lower. Like, I think you possibly can get a 30. Maybe.
Yeah, I've gotten, my stealth has been like a 31 a couple
Yeah,
times.
maybe. But that means you are made for it. You've got the magic items.
Yeah.
You're literally, that is, and you're rolling
stacked
max.
that way.
Yeah, you're stacked. And you're rolling max. So, I'm like, I'm not going to make it DC 28 because that's way too high. But I'll make it pretty high. It'll be 23. So it's doable. But it's just really hard. And if you fail it, you take like 50 damage. Which is stupid. Because they're like level 6.
So that's like...
It kills some of them.
Actually, it could kill all of us
Yeah.
because none of us hadn't had a rest. So we were still pretty low.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
When you're running a one-shot, don't be a dick and put in like crazy hard stuff that your people have to try to navigate through.
You mean the storyteller?
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're the storyteller, yeah.
See,
Yeah,
I
like the
do.
traps.
I throw, man, they were level
Looking at you. Yeah.
Yeah, they were level 4, maybe 5, when they came across a mummy lord.
Yeah.
Because I don't give a fuck. It was like, and
No,
That's
that
not
Jeez,
for a
man.
one-shot.
no, it's
That's
not.
for campaign.
That motherfucker, he's like a challenge 13 or something. But they wrecked this mummy lord. The thing is, though, it's if you play the game like a strategy game, then you can't do that. Because everything needs to be by the rules. You know, there is a setup, there is a layer, there are layer actions. These are the things, like, I think if somebody wants to know how 5th Ed should technically be played, they should probably watch Critical Role. Because they actually, from what I understand, follow the rules pretty to a T.
Yeah.
But I'm all about the narrative. I don't give a, you know, I want them to
Sure.
use their characters in
Yeah.
cool ways, and if it makes sense, it makes sense.
Yeah, and the mechanics are the outline.
Right. So they talked to the Mummy Lord, and they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Why are you here? This is why we're here. And he's like, oh, yeah, right, we're on the same side. Cool. All right, well, you go do the shit for me, and I won't eat your face.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, you know, and that's, you know, everybody's got that guy in the group, too, that wants to just try to fight everything. Like, you know, or, like, you present them with a challenge, and they're never thinking about, like, how can I talk my way out of this? It's just like, oh, well, this is a challenge, so it must be a combat challenge, and I want to get out in front of this, so let me roll initiative real quick and go ahead and drop the hammer on this thing. And that guy is the person I love to kill as a storyteller, because it's awesome. I don't like killing players. I don't like throwing players. But when there's that one person, see ya. That proves to the rest of your group that, hey, there are consequences here at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, you know. Actually, Ben was that guy in that specific game session I'm talking about. But it made sense.
Yeah.
You know, I actually gave them an out. I was like, so you could... I mean, they set up the room. We're using the battle map.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they'd investigated the room, and they're like, there's a secret passage over there. We know we can get out of this bitch. And Ben was like, no. I think we could take him. And, you know, because they were like, at the point... There were like 5 or 6 players to the one Mummy Lord. So in 5th Ed, 3.5 it wasn't so much that way, but in 5th ed, like, you really have to have minions. If you don't, I think the mechanics break down. Anyway, okay, let's.
And in D&D, you can always like crit 20.
Oh
So
yeah.
you always got a chance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
why not take the shot?
Well, especially if you have like 5 turns, you do.
Yeah.
Or just, a robe of stars.
Or Robe of Stars,
Yes.
which is awesome. I love
Old
it.
road.
The Robe of Stars. It's the one that you put it on and you can go to the astral realm, which she did today.
Yeah,
I did for the first time.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was
it's pretty cool.
terrifying. He had the
Isn't
best
it nice?
music for
it's
it.
nice to be able to use the power.
Yeah, it is. Because I feel like, being the rogue, we don't get a lot of magic. I'm an assassin, not an arcane trickster, so I don't get any of the fun magics that a lot of the other players get. But the items we're amassing in this dungeon, which terrifies me because that means a big bad is coming along, is definitely helping balance out the gameplay for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they. It's also fun to be a storyteller for a mix of players, like players that have been around for a long time, and then players that are more new to the game, especially in a game. I mean, any game, but I think there's something very fresh about it. So like Telvin, he's played forever, like way longer than me. So the moment he comes across like a big chest, he stabs it. You stab the chest.
You stab
Why?
the chest.
Because the chest is always a mimic.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
It's always.
Logic.
But that's that D&D mentality is the thing, and so one thing that Telvin does is he sees the chest and he's like, he doesn't stab it. Why? Because his character. Why would his character do that? But it's cool to have players like one of them, Chris.
Which one?
Chris Williams.
Ah.
He grabbed this. They found this magic item underneath of a cloak. Now, people that are D&D players, the moment you say, "Oh, what do you find in the room?" "I find a cloak." They're like, "Stab it. Stab it to death."
Yeah.
Why? It's a cloaker, of course. Well,
Yeah.
so we had this nice mix, and they're all dicking around. They're doing like their short rest or whatever it's called, and I'm like, cool. It's like you short rest for 20 minutes, and they're all finding like gems and like magic items and potions, reusable stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I straight up was like, this is a dungeon. It's a dungeon that's floating like a demiplane through the Great Wheel. That's where you're gonna find a bunch of crazy shit here. It's break down the door dungeon. So Chris, he's got this cloak, and he's like, "So what's this cloak?" And I'm like, "Ah, you can tell.
It's really soft.
It's really soft, like the underbelly of like a dog. It's just really, really nice and comfortable and soft." He's like, "Oh yeah, sweet. Is it magic?" Well, you look at it, you get your friend to look at it, and their friend's like, "It's not magical, but it's got a magic spell cast on it." And they're like, "Oh, what is it?" "Well, it's non-detection." And they're like, "Okay, that's a little weird. So if I put it on," and I'm sitting there like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And he's like, "If I put it on, am I like, do I have like non-detection?" I was like, "You don't know." Kind of time goes by, like good 20 minutes of actual game time goes by.
Yeah.
Finally, they're like, "Okay, we're gonna get up. We eat and shit. We're gonna like shave, shit, shower. Now we're gonna go down into the dungeon more." And Chris is like, "All right, I'm gonna put this thing on." I'm like, "Sweet." It eats you.
Yeah.
Got him.
Yeah. And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And cloakers
Nice.
have like mirror image, so they can like make like 5 cloakers. It's ridiculous. It's awesome.
We had a fun time with that, and
Nice.
he skinned it and wore it as a cloak
Yeah.
afterwards.
Now he has a cloak.
Yeah.
With like fangs and shit.
Hey,
Yeah.
worth it.
Why not?
Worth it.
Yeah. That's
And
it.
if they find another cloak, I guarantee you, they'll stab.
They're
it.
yeah.
They will stab.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. Why does your character always stab the cloak? Because I once ran upon a cloaker.
Once was enough. I don't think any of us have stabbed the chests yet. We always check them for traps, but we don't stab them.
God, there's at least 2 or 3 players with cursed items.
Yeah.
Just
casually toting them about.
crazy adventurers going from port to port.
Yeah.
All right.
Man,
So
I haven't played D&D in a very, very long time.
you need to come over and play.
Yes.
Apparently, I need to. Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
a fun time. We have snacks.
We got snacks,
And candles.
I'm in.
candles,
Yeah.
candles, music,
Alcohol. All the good stuff.
sometimes
Salt.
alcohol,
Yeah.
lots of coffee.
Lots of coffee.
Okay. A few other questions, but before we do that, let's do the reason I want to do the jazz hands is because this will help me cut this episode, since we're gonna go to a separate topic. Okay.
Got
So
it.
we got to do 8 full seconds of. Okay.
That was great.